if I had any cocky thoughts in my mind about how wonderful I was going to be behind the wheel on my first day in the yard, oh, did those get squashed real quickly today. Basically, I had to report this morning back to the main office in Commerce, Georgia, and Reggie set me up with a drug screening appointment at the urgent care place across the street. And I met a guy named Devante he had gotten his CDL on a permit on his own, and he was going to be starting in the yard that same day. So he had taken some sort of a test and exempted out of the classroom portion that preps you to take your permit test, the written tests, because he already did. And so I met him. He was really nice. And then I went out. I got my drug test done. He did too. And then we went out to the yard. And I found out that I was the only person in my 6-person class that actually passed the written test. And so I went out with, I went out and signed in for the first time and made sure that they had copies of my DOT physical and my driver's license and the permit and stuff like that, a copy of all that stuff. And then I went out, but they were understaffed today. They have 4 instructors, and they ended up only having 2 out because one person, as I understand it, was sick, or at least that's what I was told, and the other person was he was taking a truck with a student to get his test done, and that student ended up passing. So that was awesome. Anyway, they said, I know you want to do they asked me if I want to do a stick or an automatic. I said a stick, and they said, okay, well, we're kind of understaffed right now. Otherwise I'd put you out with somebody to go over the works. And they said the stick, what do they say? Stick, floor or something, stick something. So I guess it's a practice place to learn how to drive the stick and double clutching and stuff like that. Instead they put me with the automatics today because they didn't have time to go through that, and they didn't have the ability. So he says, yeah, we're just going to throw you out there. Normally we'd start with, pre-checks and that kind of thing. But he said that, since I arrived 2 hours late after getting my paperwork together and getting the drug screening, I was 2 hours late. So I missed all the pre-check stuff that they do in the mornings. They were actually doing that as I pulled in, and then they broke out. So I didn't have a chance to do that. And he says, we're just going to throw you in there. So the very first thing I did, which was maybe after being there for maybe half an hour, I introduced myself to everybody, and a lot of good guys. There's a lot of people apparently that are part of a program with Amazon that if you work in their warehouse for a while, then Amazon will pay for you to have a CDL. And they, can get the CDL, but they don't pay you to be there. They will pay, they'll pay you the 3 days of the week that you work at Amazon, but the 2 days that you go to the practice, they don't do that. They don't do it then. So there was a lot of people that were just basically going part-time. They're going to be there for 8 weeks, 2 days a week. And they were saying that it's kind of difficult to have such little practice, spread apart 8 weeks. But, they got to work. And so for like 2 months, they're taking a hit in their pay, unless they're a part of the TOM team, they said. The TOM team is a group of people that are still paid $22 an hour, something like that. And they're there every single day, 5 days a week, training, because I think they said that the TOM team was the people that drive these like these small little, convertible style, vehicles that move truck trailers around at the Amazon warehouse. And, I think that's what they said, at least. I could be misunderstanding, but basically, it seemed like a pretty good deal that if you had been there for a while and you had an opportunity to get your CDL, because Amazon apparently does not require you to work there for a certain number of months or to stay with them for a certain number of miles driven after you get your CDL license in order to earn back the money that has been put forth towards your CDL. So some of these people are planning on getting that as soon as they get their license, they're going to go to a place that offers more money, unless Amazon pays them more money. But anyway, me and Devante are self-paid. We're paying our way through the course, and after about an hour or two of being there, which we all sat around this like little table with the umbrella over top of us because it was hot out there. It was like 90 degrees, I think, out there, peak today. But and that's in the Georgia humidity, so not especially bad in the shade, but it's also they have a gravel yard. It's not paved, so you do have to deal with things blowing in your face and stuff every now and then. But you know what? It's not bad. The tires spin a little bit, but it's a fine yard. It's big. It's open. They have plenty of trucks. It's like 8 different trucks, which I don't expect them to ever have running at the same time. But they have a assortment of stick shifts and automatics, and there was probably a total of maybe 15 people out there today. There was, I think, maybe about 7 in our group and 8 in the stick shift area. But about an hour, maybe hour and a half after I got there, one of the people from my class from last week had come in and he had retaken part of the test that he missed. And he got the general knowledge test part right. I think he says he missed either air brakes or combinations, but he passed it. So he went on back to the office, got his paperwork, got his drug test, and then showed up on set. Now, I tell you, he's 19 years old, but his family has a yard. They own a tow trucking business, and they were like, well, you need to get your CDLA because they don't tow vehicles anymore. They tow commercial vehicles and bigger vehicles. So as soon as he gets that, he's good. But inside of their yard on their private property, he's been moving around trucks and stuff ever since he got his license. So on private property, obviously, you can do that kind of thing. But so I mean, he stepped foot behind the wheel, and he was surprisingly good. I mean, I was like, geez, I have a child his age just about, and it's like, man, Devontae did really well too. And the other guys that had been there for more days, they obviously were down, were really good. There was occasionally, it was really funny because occasionally one of them would mess up a little something here or there, and just once you mess up something, it just the whole thing like fell apart. It was almost funny. A couple of the guys that were just like able to park on an angle, doing what do they call it, alley parking, 90-degree parking. I forgot it. I think they called it alley parking. I was like, I guess an alley. I need to get the definition down, but it was funny because as soon as I got off on that, it was this one guy went forward, backward, forward, backward, forward, backwards. It must have been 8 times. That was the only time he did that. The first time he went back and did one pull forward and then went back and he was fine. And the second time he did the same thing. The third time he was all over the place, forward, backward, almost about to hit the cone and stuff. And he took like 20 some odd minutes going forward and backward. And finally got it in there, and then he got out. And the last time he went, it was fine too. But it was funny because the group that sits there and watches, there's a no cell phone policy on the yard, so we're not stick to our cell phones. We're actually watching and we're paying attention and we're observing and we're talking about things. And I'll tell you, it's a lot easier when you're watching a truck and saying, oh yeah, cut it to the right, cut it to the left, get the truck underneath the trailer, get it over there, get it over there. And when you're watching from the side, when you're in the thing, it's totally different. Now granted, I have long arms, so I would sit behind the wheel and I'd feel like I was like this, like it was turn the wheel like this with my shoulders up. So I learned at the end of the day, there's a seat adjustment. The wheel can go pretty much anywhere. So I'm going to push it away from you a little bit tomorrow. See if that helps me. So that way I'm not feeling like I'm turning the wheel at my chest, kind of a weird thing. But, the very first thing that they had me do was back up in a straight line. And granted, I did not know what I was doing. So hearing the guy out there, he technically, all right, so he took, Devontae was out there before me. He went out there first. He got in the line first. He went, and a guy named Danny, one of the instructors out there, he took Devontae in showed him the things he needed to know on the inside of the trailer just to do the exercises. He said, we'll go over all the pre-check stuff, starting tomorrow. But for today, just getting behind the wheel and practicing, that was going to be something totally, that's all he had to do. Well, Devontae then went in a straight line back. I did also. He took me into the trailer. He was very patient, answering all my questions because I had a bunch. And they were really good. I mean, just, the thing is, when you're backing up, you can't, there was no part of me that said, oh, I got this, stepping behind the wheel the very first time. I had no experience in trucks or anything. So it's like, I started backing up and I started to see all of a sudden the cones disappear because the trailer starts to kick a little bit to the side. And I'm like, where did it go? And they would say, just, turn back to the wheel a little bit, turn back to the left a little bit, turn back to the right a little bit. Now go straight back, go a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right. And they basically said, you don't do big turns. You just, if you're backing up in the straight line, you just balance it a little bit, left and right. Got to get that feel down, because I did it only the one time. And that was with the instruction. And it was very easy to do when they tell you what to do. The next time I went, he said, pull out to the left. And then after I got out to the left, he was like, all right, you're going to do a right angle, back up, alley parking, I think they called it. And I tell you, man, that was trying to get the hang of it. Again, when you're looking at it from above, I can take my hands and do this number and say, okay, if I want to take the truck backwards, I have to cut the wheel a little bit to the right, and that's going to kick the trailer back this direction, or this way, which is going to take the trailer this direction, because the tractor, if I cut the wheel to the right and go backwards, the tractor is going to go to the right, which is going to push the trailer left. And then if I want to chase it, I'd straighten it back up and go slightly, matching the same kind of, I understand in practice, at least some. By no means am I an expert. By no means am I pretending like I know more than I do. I've been going to this YouTube channel called My Trucking Skills. He does really cool things on his channel. He has multiple cameras for the left side of his truck, the right side of the truck, overhead looking at his steering wheel, and he has the steering wheel marked. That way you can see how much he's turning it left and right. You can see out the front window. You can see out, multiple different. He'll throw a drone up in the air and look overhead at a parking job that he's doing. And then he will put like an angle, and he'll have the angles that way you can see the 10 degrees, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and you can see how it goes. You can see what it looks like from the different things, and he puts it on split screen on the screen. It's amazing production value and very valuable. He deserves more subscribers than he has, but it's very interesting. And when I look at it that way, when I watch his videos, I've gotten to the point now where I can usually about 75 to 85% of the time, not quite 90 just yet, but I can look at it and then say, all right, now he's going to be cutting the wheel back a little bit to the right. He's going to try to straighten up the wheel. Now he's going to cut it back just a little bit to the right. Now he's going to go hard left. And, I'm able to usually guess that pretty well. But inside the tractor, man, it's totally different. Inside of the tractor trailer, man, combination, it is so different. It's like you start to go backwards, and I'm cranking my neck all the way around to the left, and the steering wheel, not the steering wheel, the the seat belt cuts me right across the neck. It just is cutting right across here. So I'm like, oh, and trying to look out the window. And so part of me is saying, just use the mirrors. Problem is, the trailer's not in the mirrors. So I'm like, I lean forward, lean back, and I'm like, I got to put my face out the window. So only way to do it, unless I somehow have the ability to use the force, which I don't have yet. Maybe eventually it will flow like the force does, but not right now. So anyway, I think throughout the day, I think I did the first backup with the instruction, and there was no nervousness. There was no nervous excitement or something like that. It was like, all right, cool, let's do this. And I was focused and concentrating on the job. And it was funny because I could follow the directions pretty well. Had to do one pull forward because I was off at some point. Probably driving slightly faster than I should be because I hadn't gotten the accelerator down. Being an automatic, it kind of pushes you forward at the pace it seems to feel it needs to. And if I barely touch the gas, being that we're on gravel, sometimes the tires would spin a little bit. So you back off on it and it'd catch the gravel again. And that was kind of, interesting too. Some of the guys complained about the gravel a lot, but one thing I really appreciated is whoever was not with the instructor at that moment, there was a big support group where everyone was talking. They'd say, yeah, it's because of this. And you see that back there? What I would be looking at right now is that mud flap. That's what I use to align myself. And then another guy saying, no, I actually get better use out of it if I look at the landing gear because I'm able to make more sense out of this. And then another guy says, well, but at that point you're blind. So you have to look into your right mirror, which is really weird because it looks, they were giving a lot of helpful hints and tips. And it was being that nobody was on their phones, because of the policy there, everyone was very interactive. Everyone was really talkative. If I asked a question, everyone was like, yeah, and somebody would answer and I could just look at them in the eyes and they'd look right back. And it was just like old school communication, like what we remember from back in the 80s. When you ask someone a question and they give you their attention and they look at you. Very useful, as opposed to, people sitting there doing this and you just lined it up with the mirror looking at the side of the thing and then they go back to it wasn't any of that stuff, which was great. It was really great to get away from devices and do things for real, like really focusing on people and education. That was really cool. So even though the instructors were not hands-on with the people and with the students and with us sitting on the sidelines, there were many students that every time somebody went up there to try it by themselves, which most of the time they did. Like after I did the first time, backing up on an angle, he said, "You want to try it by yourself?" I said, "Yeah, sure. What do I have to lose?" And so I would try it, and then I would totally fail, and then he would talk me through it. But he would actually go over there. That instructor Orlando, he would go over with the group, and they would start talking about different things, and they would ask Orlando questions, and he would answer, and very interactive, and he was very knowledgeable. And then when I started to fail really badly, he would yell out a couple of times, no, straighten the wheel, turn right, turn left, that kind of thing, go pull forward. And so after I kind of got that down to a science, and by that I mean the listening part, listening to what he was saying, after a while it wasn't quite flowing the way I think he wanted it to be. So he'd walk over and he'd stand next to the tractor and would tell me what to do. And then I went a third time. He again asked me if I wanted to try by myself. I'm like, yeah, obviously try by yourself because if they tell you what to do, you become accustomed to it. And it would be great to try by myself first and see how bad I fail, and then see what support he offers, what advice. And it was helpful. And the support group from the people is really good too. So it was a good first day, I think. Tomorrow we're going to, get up, and another hot day out there in the Georgia sun, and hopefully learn some pre-trip stuff. And they gave out a handout, which is a really, really helpful cheat sheet. A lot to remember. Oh my gosh, a lot to remember. But we'll figure it out, man. We'll figure it out. It'll be great. So, yeah. Anyway, that was day one. I came to find out that the retesting of all the students in the class today, the only person who showed up there was the guy Thomas from my class last week, whose family owns a trailer business. One other person did pass, and it was the lady in the class, but she was apparently having some sort of car issue and couldn't get there, so she's going to start at some later time. We'll probably see her again eventually, because we're all kind of collectively in the same yard, so we'll have everybody out there as soon as they pass their writtens. But it was good. It was good. So a good first day. It would be easy to complain and say not enough hands-on. I would have liked to have been in the trailer more, but you know what? Because it was such a good support structure from the other students, it's good. It was good. I really don't have any complaints. Except that I wish that somehow the sun could just stay off of us. It would be great if the whole entire place that we were working was covered inside of like this big, huge warehouse. We were inside of there. I know it wouldn't be right at all. I mean, even if the sides were open, to the air to vent out, it would still be great if it was indoors. Well, you didn't have the sun on you. I don't know how that would work with the exhaust from the trucks though, but still it'd be nice. I've been in places with, big high ceilings and big open walls, but I mean, they don't have the money for that. I don't think any trucking school would. Be ridiculous. But anyway, no real complaints. It was good. And I'm looking forward to seeing how things go with the stick tomorrow and learning about the pre-trip, because that pre-trip, man, that's the big thing that's going to be the kicker. The technique part, everyone says, you can get that down. As long as you understand when to use your pull forwards and when to get out and look. When you know how to use those and where those need to be done, you're going to be in pretty good shape. The big thing though is that pre-trip. Pre-trip, going through the engine, the cab, and the trailer. There's a lot to it. So we'll get there though. Day one, 14 more days of this. And hopefully I will get this thing down, because I didn't go there to lose. So we'll see what happens. Thanks for watching.